Hey, beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I guess you can call it a podcast. And today we are here to talk about The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 6, Episode 9, High Infidelity. You guys, I have been MIA for about a week because I had a really tragic situation happen here at home and was unable to do anything for about a week. And I'm actually going to try as hard as I can to put my heart into it and make it enjoyable. But it was kind of a filler episode, but I mean, it was still good. I was entertained. So all right, let's get going. All right, so we start off with Ashley changing the baby. He passed a little gas in her face. Ha ha ha. All right, cute enough. Then we move on to Karen, and Ray is giving her a foot massage. She's being Karen and making all kind of noises, acting like it's the best thing she's ever had in her life. If it's anything Karen is going to do, she's going to stand for her man or either put on for the cameras, whatever she's doing. But great massage. But then she tells him that she wants to talk about the second dress for their vow renewal. And he's like, second dress? Then we have Mia. She's in her closet trying to find something to wear to lunch with her mom. So she calls her husband in. And the first outfit she picks out, they're like, yeah, that'll work. And they're done. So they go in the bedroom and she's telling him how she really wants to do this lunch and everything. She wants some answers from her mom. However, she doesn't want to trigger her. And he's very encouraging. He's like, you'll find the right words. You'll do everything right. Yeah, I like the encouragement he's constantly having to give her. All right, so now we take a look at Wendy and Eddie, and she goes sit down, and he comes up next to her, and she's like, did you guys miss me? He's like, yeah, we missed you. Well, he said, did we miss you? And he said, Cruz missed you the most. And I'm like, well, that's not him. And they start talking about how, Wendy just says that she finds it really ironic that the person with the most volatile marriage is the one that came to tell her something about her marriage. And he says he lives his life a certain way, but that ain't it. So they were then talking about how they were really offended because Giselle and them knows their story and the fact that they were not really, meant to be together. His family didn't want them together, and he risked everything and stopped speaking to his family for this. So he says, why would I go through all of that? That's a lot to go through. So of course Wendy starts crying, and in the confessional she says for Giselle to try to spread these old rumors, and I was surprised by that because I didn't know these were old rumors. Did you guys know that? How old are these rumors? And she definitely said old rumors because I rewound it a couple times. So I'm like, did she say old rumors? Because first of all, nobody that I know or none of the reviewers that I watch said that they ever heard about Eddie, being a cheater or whatever. And so how are these old rumors? Is this something that's come up before, Wendy? I don't know. But Eddie basically says, she has to be kind of miserable and hurt to, want to hurt other people. So basically the whole hurt people. And, Wendy says in her soft voice, I don't expect them to understand my reaction because they've never known the type of love that we have, and they never will. I said, Wendy, girl, this is not All My Children. If you don't stop that soap opera speak and just speak like a regular person, girl. All right, so then we have Robin coming up to Giselle's place. She's about to try to open the patio door, and she's walking along her little back area like she's scared. I'm like, Robin, girl, cut it out. She can't get in the patio door though. It's like really stuck and sticking, so she has to really work to open it, really work hard to close it. And she tells Giselle, I hope that's not a new door. And Giselle says, no, I'm getting a new one. And I'm like, Giselle's lying. I am unsure as to who has actually listened to Giselle and Robin's podcast. I had no idea they were on iHeart. Yeah, it's just unreal because who would want their opinion on anything? Who would take their advice? I don't know. And then from what I heard, what they let us hear on the show, it was a snooze fest. I wish I could fast forward, but I can't. So let's get into whatever they was talking about. So what do you know? Their podcast is about cheating accusations, and all of that. So Giselle starts by saying she looked up some I can't say my S's today, y'all. Today. or maybe too many S's. I don't know. But Giselle said she looked up some statistics, and 22% of men cheat. And she's like, yeah, and I thought about all my homegirls, and I've decided that it's 100%. And I'm like, I'm going to have to agree with her on that. I'm sorry. I just do. You know what? No, I can't say that all men cheat, but almost. So then she says she looked up if they cheat, do they go back to cheat again? And she said that it said 350%. There's a 350% chance that if a man cheats, he will cheat again. And she says, I wish someone would have told me that like 2 years ago. And I'm like, 2 years ago? Wait. So the producers asked her, why do you say 2 years ago? And she said, and they said, you were with Jamal. And she goes, well, yeah, but I was just playing. And I'm like, no, you weren't. But you should have known about that a long time ago, like when your kids were babies, or even before you had them, when he was having baby after baby on you. So whatever. But she says she learned from her own experience that if you stay with a man long enough, he's going to cheat on you. That's so sad. That's so sad. If that's a real statistic, that's sad. But I also feel like it's sad that that's her view and that's how she feels. And it's also sad that that's how I feel. Like, what the hell is wrong with these men? What are they doing? Or maybe our pickers are just off. Like, we're just picking the wrong man. I don't know. I guess basically it's just kind of sad because you can tell that she was disappointed. You can tell when a woman has been like greatly disappointed by a man, and she has. Clearly I have too, but you could tell. So Robin says she's not surprised that, Jamal and Giselle are not together. And then we do flashbacks of like last year and all the ladies saying like, where was he? Robin saying, why wouldn't you let us know that you were back with him? If you're in love and all of that, why wouldn't you want to share that with your friends? She then says that they weren't meant to be together. The infidelity and all the work, it was just too much. And I'm like, and you and Juan were meant to be together because the infidelity and all the work, She then goes to say that her situation is very different because she and Juan were married, and then Juan cheated, they got a divorce, and then they rekindled their love. Yeah, okay. She says early on Juan was cheating and she knew it and she turned a blind eye. And Giselle says, hold on, I never heard you say that before. And she goes, yeah, I knew, but I was young, I was dumb, and I was, just letting them get away with it. You cry yourself to sleep sometime. And I'm like, maybe things have changed no, I'm not going to say Juan's a cheater. I just think Juan is not interested in Robin anymore like that. So I don't know if he's a cheater or not. So you guys, then we have Candace and Chris, and they are doing a little more day drinking. And I'm like, ever since they brought it up, now we gonna notice every time Chris gets a drink. But they then talk about how, he's helping her and yada yada. I am so bored of their storyline with him being the manager and all that. They're gonna talk about it again later. I'm going to yada yada past it, just so y'all know, because I don't care. And I do like them. I'm not gonna lie, I like them. However, I'm just bored of their storyline. It's whatever. But she's telling him how, they're talking about choreography. She's telling him how she had the girls do a dance off so that they could have a little bit of fun. He says, sound good. She tells him, yeah, Giselle made a comment about you riding my coattails. And she says, she was being messy. And he just laughs. And then he says, you know what? You have done everything from being a hostess at my restaurant because we weren't fully staffed. So now that it's time for me to support you, then, oh well. And he says she'll just never understand that. And you guys, I think it's so interesting that now we have two different couples talking about how miserable Giselle is. Like, that's just kind of the consensus with everyone, it seems, that Giselle is miserable. What an awful reputation to have. Like, really. Candace says Giselle has definitely been scorned, and now she's trying to, project onto her ebony ivory magical love story. And she's like, worry about yourself, bitch. We good over here. And I'm like, you said nothing like that the night of, but it's okay, Candace. We got you. She then started in on Ashley. She's like, Ashley, and she had to close her eyes. Y'all, Candace don't see it for Ashley at all anymore. At all. And she's like, she was there for 4 hours and she just came to start some bullshit. She calls Ashley trash, and he says, well, she could have been trying to come from a good place. And she says, I don't think so. And let me tell you how I know. Because after everything was over, she was in the kitchen. Y'all, this fool says Ashley and her forehead was in the kitchen getting her breast milk. I swear to God, Candace cracked me up on this episode. I'm sorry, she just did. She says, I saw her gleefully getting her little titty milk and saying, well, that didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And then we get a flashback, and that's exactly what she did. So in the confessional, she says, y'all want to tell me Ashley has changed? She's a mother now. She goes, no, forehead, you are messy. She then calls her gross, and Chris is like, okay, that's harsh. Now, y'all know I don't want to talk about Ashley and her husband. Y'all know how I feel about Michael, and I can't really give him the time of day. However, I can't just yada yada past everything, because then what's the point of reviewing it, right? But they go to a wellness center with the baby because apparently he's not latching right. They feel like something's going on with his lip. And while they're there, they're asking her, Michael's asking her credentials and what have you done here? What have you done there? You know why? Because it's stupid. What they're doing is just stupid. You bring him to a wellness center because he has some sort of a defect or something, like a physical defect. Like, what are they going to do? I understand a lot of people like to do holistic type stuff, but asking this lady her credentials, and she is a certified massage therapist. And that's what you guys go with? You guys feel comfortable with that? So she proceeds to just like roll the baby around, and she's massaging him, and I know this, and his chin, and he's very tight over here and there. And I'm just looking at the whole scene like, this is just dumb as hell, and they're just stupid, and this is just wasting time. Why is Michael still on this show? And Ashley. So in closing, the lady says the baby should be latching more in a couple weeks, and he should be eating faster in about a week or so, whatever. You'll see a difference. And I'm like, yeah, y'all wait on that. That's why she said everything is like a week or two out, so that you'll forget that shit later. It's not gonna happen. She's a massage therapist. Oh my God. Wait, I also have to add, when they got in the car and they were talking about how, you know, Michael is ready to do some things, and she always makes these little comments that's just kind of creepy, where she's like, we can't get full on and super into it, just kind of letting us know that there's some things that they still do, and I don't want to know that. I don't want to picture that. And then she's trying to tell him how she's still not ready or whatever, and she's like, yeah, you were in the birthing room, did you not see my vagina? And he's like, I wasn't paying attention to your vagina. And I'm like, of course not, girl. He doesn't care about your vagina at all. You know that. So he claims that he just be watching the babies come out. He's not looking at the vagina. But yeah, for some reason she's not. Well, I won't say for some reason. You know, she just gave birth, and he's gross. I'm gonna use Candace's word. Michael is definitely gross. So she's not trying to do it with him. Good for you. But he's talking about how he's very attracted to her. She's not fat in any way. And I'm like, this shit he be saying, I don't know how she deals with him at all. All right, so we have a short scene with Robin and one of her sons, and she's explaining how she's trying to get a life coach to, help her do better and be better. And she calls this lady named Denise, and Denise is explaining how she's different from a therapist. Robin says, yeah, because I don't really think I need a therapist. I'm stable, and my emotional and mental and everything. And I'm like, is she really? Because really what she kind of said she had before was depression. And I don't know that a life coach can really help out with that, but you do you, girlfriend. So yeah, they said they're gonna make a date to, see about making things happen. Ooh, so now we have a really hard scene to watch, you guys. Jesus. Mia and her mom are making it to a place called Limoncello, I think. And her mom says, is this called Limoncello? And Mia says, I think it's Limoncello. And I'm like, that just doesn't sound right, Mia. Shut your ass up and stop trying to be so cultured. Okay, so I really like the vibe of this restaurant, you guys. It's just giving me upscale brunch, like airy, lemons everywhere. I don't know, it's just giving me, I don't know, like clean and fresh, and I don't know, I just like it. This was such an awkward scene, you guys, because they just sat there like they're waiting for the water and they're just like, so I'm so excited to be here. It was very awkward, but it gets even more awkward. Okay, so they both order a limoncello, and yes, that's the name of it, so mom was right. And it just looks so lemony and delicious. Ugh, you know what? I'm focused on the wrong thing. Okay, so Mia said that, she's so excited to be there with her mom, and I have to admit, seeing that big old smile in her confessional, it's just so sweet. Like she wants something with her mom. I mean, mom is always mom. So, yeah, she's saying how she wants to get down to the nitty gritty and get some answers. So they get to talking about how the kids act and everything, and the fact that one of her kids a little wilder, and she says she gets it from you and you get it from your father. And mom says, when you were younger, I used to say, oh, she gets on my nerves because she acts just like a father. And I'm like, I heard that people say that before, but geez, I don't know, that's a little harsh. Or at least the way she said it, like her teeth were all clenched and everything. So that's kind of harsh for a kid, and that's kind of harsh for her to hear even now. She gets on my nerves because she acts like her father. That's not cool, mom. Not cool, mom. But mom has been hurt because Mia then asks, what did dad do? And mom starts by saying, well, he got me hooked on drugs. He's the one that introduced me. And she says, yeah, I knew that. Then we get the story about when apparently Mia burned herself, 2nd and 3rd degree burns from oatmeal. She pulled the pot down from the stove. Where was dad? She said she had only been gone for like 15 minutes or so before she got a call that you got to come home. And she said she gets home and dad's in the basement with a woman. And her baby's all burnt. So, yeah, that's a problem. She says, yeah, she put him out because it was just too much. But then, like 10 days later, she realized she couldn't live without him. And I'm like, yeah, mom was gone for him. But kudos to her for keeping it real. Because I think this was such a heavy conversation for them to be having on television for the first time. I just really do. I mean, I know it's for our entertainment purposes, but I just feel like it was a lot. It was a lot. So Mia basically says that, like, as a child, she didn't build up resentment for her mom, but she just wanted her mom. And her mom said she did what she thought was best. So I guess she meant, like, giving her away. Mia says she knows that her dad was kind of a mess when he was under the influence, and she just thinks she kind of blocked that out and just held on to the good, so she didn't see that he was kind of a monster. They ended in a good space though. Said they were glad they had the conversation. I was glad too. Wish maybe it wasn't on TV because mom seemed really uncomfortable, because like when Mia first started trying to talk about it, mom was like, I don't want to go there. And then she's like, Mia, but Mia just persisted, probably for the cameras. But yeah, they seem to be in a better place, which is good. Good for them. All right, so then we have Karen at her venue, and she's trying to explain to Ray what's going on. He's standing there looking like Raiders of the Lost Ark or whatever. What was that guy's name? Tomb Raider, something like that, like with that hat on. Okay. I like Ray, so I'm just playing. So Karen tells us how her first dress is $10,000, but it's coming from Turkey, so that makes it okay. Okay. And then she has Wendy coming in. I guess she's looking for her second dress, and she wants the ladies to help her. So Wendy comes in. She has on a cute little number and a hat. She's all covered up and still looking cute and sexy. That's all we're saying. Well, I'm not going to lump myself with Giselle and Robin, so. But she is covered up, still looking sexy, though. So Karen's working with 3 ladies that work there. One is a white lady, and 2 are chocolatey sisters, and they were very pretty. And I was just like, come on through, melanin and cheekbones, come on, because I too have the melanin and the cheekbones. But the one in the pink shirt looked a lot like Wendy, and not just because she's chocolate with the cheekbones, but her facial features, like she looked a lot like Wendy. That is actually a compliment. So when Mia comes, she gets out the car and she's walking to the place, and she's like, okay, industrial. And it did look very industrial on the outside. So they have mimosas, and Karen goes to the back to try on the first dress. And while she's back there, Mia and Wendy are just super pleasant. Hey, I haven't seen you since, Williamsburg. And I'm like, well, look at this. Look how these two could not stand each other. Well, Wendy, they just couldn't get along at all, and now they're super pleasant. And Wendy says, yeah, she just felt like she was hit by a Mack truck. And Mia says, yeah, because you kind of were. And in her confessional, she says she just doesn't think what they did was cool, like ganging up on her and talking about her marriage. All right, so Karen comes out, dress number one. It's pretty. She's talking about she wants it to be easy to dance in, easy to slip out of when they go to the honeymoon suite. Ew. It didn't look like it would be easy to dance in. It has this big old train and bustle and everything, and unless it comes off, which it probably does, but it was a pretty dress. Second dress they did not like. I didn't either. She just loves the sleeves, and I'm like, well, get you some sleeves that go with the kind of switch it up if you can. But the second dress was a no-go. She couldn't even sit down in it. And while Karen was back there trying on the second dress, Wendy's like, yeah, this is going to be really nice and something can go here. And Mia's like, wait, what do you mean? This is the venue? And she says, yeah, this is the venue. And she says, oh, okay. And Wendy's like, She says, well, the interior is perfect. And Mia says, God, Wendy says, not the interior. And then they show the exterior again. And again, it is kind of really industrial. And so Mia says, well, we'll just have to put some, a little carpet or some, outside. And Wendy starts laughing. As much as I want Mia to stop acting so uppity, I can't say that I disagree with her on this one. So Mia is telling Wendy and Karen how they got an invite from Giselle for drinks tonight, in honor of Robin's birthday, and they were not on the message, and they both look like, like they actually looked like they were mad about it. So the producer asked Giselle, why didn't you invite Wendy or Karen? And she says, well, I want people who really love Robin to be there and who wished her a happy birthday, and Wendy and Karen didn't, so they can beat it, basically. And my whole thing is this: because you get into it with someone does not mean you don't care for them. You guys are just having a falling out at this particular point in time. I feel like they will all eventually start speaking again at some point, because that's just how this works. So all of this, people who really love her and all that, Giselle, hush. So Wendy then says that, she's not in a good place with Giselle. She hasn't spoken to her since Williamsburg, and she wouldn't expect an invite. And then Karen says, I too am in a bad place with Giselle, but you don't kick a wounded dog while they're down. And then Wendy says, and the dog shouldn't kick you. And she says in her confessional, Karen, yeah, Giselle is just bitter, and again, someone is calling her bitter and miserable. So this is the consensus again. And she says, because in her mind, she was really in a relationship. And I'm like, that's so dirty, making her sound crazy. Karen says if she would just say and admit that she's hurting, she would get the support she needs, even from me. You guys, so then something strange really happened. It was really, really strange to me. Karen says, I want to relay this message to her through you. And she's telling Mia, I know she has a problem saying I'm sorry, so if she just texts me and says, I regret using the word death, we're good. And I'm like, what? That doesn't sound like Karen. And it doesn't sound like, I don't know, it just doesn't sound like Karen. So what the hell is going on here? It's just weird. Okay, I'm not the only one who thinks so, because when I tell you Wendy is looking at her like she has two heads, and actually so is Mia. So I don't know what's going on with Karen. What is this all about? Is she just feeling upset because she's left out? I don't understand. Then we have Candace and Chris having lunch, and I told you guys earlier, I warned you guys that I was going to yada yada past this because I really don't care. But they're arguing about him working for free and waiting on her hand and foot. I will just say this: I don't like the way Candace speaks to him. I just think she's hella rude, but he deals with it. So if he like it, I love it. It is what it is. They'll work it out. You guys, they honestly stayed on Candace for a very long time, which was not cool. But I think what they're trying to say is that Chris is not making himself available, so he's really not there doing everything. Every time she has to do a video or do something majorly important, he's not available to be there. But it seems like he's setting it up, but he just can't be there. So yeah, hopefully they work it out, or either just part ways, professionally. All right, so then we have this time for this drink, and Giselle is getting there first. She looks a mess. I don't like this outfit she has on, of course, and it has like the sleeves, and the necklace part, the neck part rather, is all blinged out, and it just looks a mess. I don't like it. Um, yeah, and as you can see on the picture, I don't have a scholar there because she don't count, but she did make sense in something that she said at this table, but I didn't feel like, putting a picture of her. Okay, so Mia arrives after Giselle. She just has on a black dress, like sweater dress. Then Ashley comes and she has on like her Beetlejuice dress. But she's talking about how it's a little, harder for her to lose the weight this time. And then she starts talking about how she does Kegels. And I'm like, girl, that has nothing to do with the weights though. Like the weight, what are you talking about? So yeah, Giselle kind of says, that's a lot. Skyla makes it there next. She does look pretty. She has on all black with her red lips. Yes, ma'am. Now, I can give her that. Yes, ma'am. And then here comes Candace with her white boots on and leather pants. Candace be swearing she doing it. And sometimes she does. But sometimes this is a miss. So when she sits down, Giselle says she wants to order something for the table, and she proceeds to call it charcuterie. And they have to tell her it's charcuterie because you're a dumbass. So Candace tells Giselle that some girls are missing, and she thought that she and Wendy were, working on it. And she says, no, I left the door open for her to, for her and I to have a private conversation, and she never did take me up on that. So, oh well, it's expired. And they're like, that's not fair. You didn't tell her. And I'm like, Wendy shouldn't care. If it expired, then oh well. So then Skyla says, I had conversations with Wendy before the trip, and she spoke very highly of you, Giselle. And Giselle says, well, because she spoke very highly of me, she should have known that I wasn't coming to her being messy. And my whole thing again is, it was messy that you came to her on a nationally syndicated show. So you know what you were putting out there. So yes, you were being messy. So then the clown arrives. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Robin in her sparkly misfitting shirt and her I guess those are kind of leather pants. I don't know. She looks a hot ass mess. Her hair looks a mess. Robin looks a mess. And it's upsetting me and my homegirls because, she's too pretty to be looking like this. Like, Robin can basically wear kind of anything, or she should be able to, and look decent, but she can't even do that right. You guys, my daughter and my niece Tiana can literally throw on anything, I'm telling you, and these girls will still look pretty and whatever. So I don't understand how Robin can mess it up so very badly, but she does. Oh, and I didn't mean misfitting. I meant ill-fitting. Yeah, I just refused to go back and re-record that, so I just had to give my disclaimer here. So Giselle says, Robin, we were having a conversation about the girls who weren't here. And then Candace says, yeah, because, I thought you and Wendy made up. She was talking to Robin. And Robin, and her stiff-ass braids, she proceeds to say that, basically, Wendy said sorry, but she's still not with it. She said she never had an issue with her until she said what she said about her. And I'm like, no, you did, because the night before, or was it that same night? The night before that whole argument, you freaking attacked her at dinner with Giselle. Y'all tag teamed her. So what are you talking about? And you already know that as soon as Giselle has an issue with somebody, you have an issue with them too. So stop lying, Robin. So then Giselle says, okay, Ashley, let me ask you, did you add hot sauce? And she says, listen, I swear to goodness, I said exactly what you told me. She says, so I asked her, are you and Eddie reinvigorating your sex life? And then Giselle says, that's a fair question. And then Skylar says, no, it's not. And she and Candace are kind of saying at the same time, it makes it seem like the rumors are true. And it does. The way that it's worded makes it seem like, okay, the rumors are true, so you're trying to, invigorate your relationship because of that. Listen, so Ascala gets her shit off and don't care who likes it or not. And she was sitting right next to Ashley and was just like, listen, you assumed that it was true. That's how it came out. And Ashley's rolling her eyes like, no, I didn't. So in the confessional, Candace says, you filthy milkmaid. You drove 4 hours to come and ruin my party. I can't take Candace in these confessionals. You guys, I must have missed this part the first time I watched it. Ashley says, like I said, if I was doing the churning, I will absolutely admit to being messy. And Candace says, oh. And then she says, absolutely, that hoe did. And Ashley is like, what? Ashley says, you call me a hoe? She says, I did. Why? And she's like, because I felt like it. And you guys, it's to the point like this. Candace has now realized that she can dislike Ashley as much as she really does because she doesn't fool with Ashley. I do not blame her. But she can not fool with her and still film and be okay. Like, I think sometimes they think that, you have to make nice and play nice with these girls. But now that Candace sees she can really, really get her shit off and say what she wants to and about Ashley because she really don't like her and she can still film and have her job, that is exactly what she's doing. Part of that, like I was on team Candace, because last year and all that stuff, but I did think that Candace's mouth gets her in trouble. It got her in trouble last year. She did a lot and she's doing a lot now. And that's the only thing. Candace, I like her. She's fine. I just do think that her mouth gets her in trouble. And then she called Ashley wide. She's like, you brought your wide-bodied ass. And Ashley's like, wide body? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's not fair. That's not fair, Candace, because she was pregnant at the time. No, she had just had the baby at the time. Like, Ashley is not actually wide, so stop. So Ashley says, y'all want to talk about body shaming. Candace says, I'm not body shaming you. And she's like, I'm wide now? And she says, you walk into a room and you body shame yourself. She's like, with your big ass body and your big ass face. What's she saying? Your big ass forehead. I'm like, Candace, you and your mouth is too much. That's too much. And again, it's not fair because Ashley is not actually a big girl and you know it. All right, you guys, that concludes the end of the episode. Well, that's the end of the episode, and that concludes this review. If you are still here, then you are definitely the MVP, especially this time, because you guys, I just did not really have a whole lot of energy for it. But again, I had a very traumatic experience and had to take some time off, and I still may. If I can't do a better video than this one, then I may be gone for another few days or whatever until I can get it together. But if you have not already, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next video. Thank you. Smooches.